everyone, this is Chef Kristen and thank you yet again for tuning in to another one of our food demo series. We're going to call this dish Summer Scallops. So we have some scallops here. This is spinach and underneath is some bok choy. We have some fresh corn on the cob that we'll be taking off the cob, actually, an onion, and we're going to go from there. So what we're going to do is start with our corn, getting that off the cob. Very simple. And actually, if you have a big enough bowl, sometimes it's actually better to just cut it in the bowl, because then you won't get corn everywhere. Also, while we're talking about that, there is a difference between a knife steel and a knife sharpener. A lot of people think that the steel is what sharpens your knife. It's not. It's actually what realigns your blade so that your blade is straight. A knife sharpener is what's actually going to sharpen the steel or the blade of the knife. And then there's multiple different knife sharpeners you can get. You can get some off of YouTube. You can do the old-fashioned way where you have a stone, and that process is a little tedious and it requires oil, the stone, and water. And then there's other knife sharpeners that you can get where it's just almost like a blade, another blade, and you're kind of grinding it against the axle. So we have our first share of corn. And what we're going to do with this corn is not quite a succotash, but we're just going to kind of try to char it, saute it, that type of thing. And if you can tell, this is actually a summer white corn. White corn is pretty much available through all the warm summer months, early part of the fall. I like white corn. It tends to be a little sweeter than the yellow corn. And to me, it's also more of like a delicate taste, I guess you can call it. And we're just going to dice the onion. Put that in. A little fresh cracked pepper. I'm going to also add a little salt. I prefer sea salt. This is kosher salt. Sea salt, Himalayan salt is good. You have to be careful with Himalayan salt though. There's a lot of fake Himalayan salt on the market, so beware of that. Also, we have, like I said, some bok choy hidden here under the spinach. I have some bacon that I'm actually gonna put in with the corn and the onions. Then we'll be ready to get everything started. Bacon isn't a necessary step. I just like bacon. So you can always use something else or no bacon at all. It's completely up to you. And then also, since we're talking on flavor profiles, so for our scallops, I'm gonna use a spice blend that I made. So it's Mediterranean spices and also coffee grounds, and that's what we're going to actually crust our scallops in. If you know anything about scallops, they're actually a pretty delicate flavor based on the fact that we have our green vegetables, which is the bok choy and then the spinach, and then we have the corn and onions. Like I said, we're just kind of building on that because these are all kind of not subtle flavors, but more of a mild flavor, so that spice blend is going to give us a little bit more of what we're looking for and add, you know, some depth to our flavor profile. Also, I want to show you guys on the scallops. So these are sea scallops. There's always a tendon that comes on the scallop. You want to take that off. This is actually the part that connects the actual scallop to the shell. If you didn't know, scallop is a shellfish. So if you have shellfish allergies, do not eat scallops. But you just pull that off. That's it. So first, actually, I want to get started on the scallops. What we're going to do is I actually have a roasting pan. I want to them on the pan. Some of these we're actually just gonna do top and bottom. Some we're gonna actually roll all the way around, just to kind of see what we get presentation wise. So for the spices, it's literally just, again, like a Mediterranean type spice. So it's cumin, it is coriander, salt, pepper, there's the coffee grounds, but it's more along the lines of like an herbaceous or savory Middle Eastern blend, but you can see it. And then also what I'm gonna do here is I actually have some butter tabs. I'm gonna put the butter tabs over top of the scallops. That way they don't get dried up, because again they do have an herb crust on it. So what I actually did was I preheated my oven on a high broil, but I don't want to cook it in a high broil, so I just broil on a high broil, so that way the oven will get warm, but these are actually going to get cooked on a low broil. And then also another quick tip, if you are using pre-sliced butter like I am, I actually took the time out when I was doing my mise en place, which is our French or culinary term for prep, or getting your prep together, getting all your ingredients together. I had a pound of butter. It wasn't the sticks, it was actually just a pound of butter. And so I pre-sliced them and put them here. If you want to put them in the refrigerator so that they don't get stuck together, just put some wax paper, parchment paper in between each sheet, and you'll be good to go. So now our scallops are going to go in the oven. We have here is some garlic butter, garlic and herbs. And this is going to be for our bok choy, which if you don't know, bok choy is another type of cabbage, and our spinach. And we're going to add our corn now, corn and onions to the bacon. My bok choy and spinach. It might look like a lot of spinach. There's about 3 cups of spinach in here, but as we know, when spinach cooks, it shrinks down. And all of the vegetables have been cleaned. You can actually buy a vegetable wash in the market, but using something as simple as just your basic vinegar works just as well. So that's actually what I did, and why I had the napkins here to actually catch some of that drainage. But I just used vinegar and water to wash off the vegetables. Now, also, if you notice, I didn't add too much salt, because again, we have the bacon that's actually going to add some saltiness to the corn as well, and the onions. What we didn't do was season our green vegetables. However, because there's so much in the pan, we're going to actually wait until it cooks down some. And what we want from this, again, is for our corn to kind of brown some, our onions to be sauteed, and of course our bacon to become a little crispy. So I'm going to add some lemon juice. I don't have any fresh lemons. I'm going to add some wine. And then we're going to take out our scallops. And as you see, we still have plenty of butter. So what we're going to do is, so that it all tastes the same, add the butter. 1 tabs of butter, so we can actually just throw that in. What you don't want is your sauce to break, and that's easy to happen because of the fact that you have lemon juice and wine. Now this butter that we're using today actually has a pretty high fat content. It's an Irish butter. So it's like one of the purest forms of butter that you could get. That's why if you pay attention to the butter, it was actually so bright yellow in color. Because they have a whole process for their butter. And this is actually on a very low heat. So what you want to do when you're making a beurre blanc is, again, you want your butter to melt slowly, but then you want to be able to keep the contents of the fat. You don't want it to become like a clarified butter, but then you also want to cook the alcohol out of the sauce, and then you want to be able to also blend the lemon juice. Now, a typical beurre blanc would actually probably be a little bit more white in color. However, again, because we're using an Irish butter, and the butter itself has a lot of yellow color, this beurre blanc is actually going to be pretty yellow, as you can already see. So we're going to put our corn in the center. You want to almost kind of sort of like make a nest. And again, this would be good for like a, actually I would serve this with some white wine. Here we go. Then take some of our sauce, pour it over top. This is our summertime scallop. We have 3 sea scallops that have been crusted in a Mediterranean and coffee ground, or seasoning I should say. We have our corn that has been sauteed and browned with bacon and onions. And then we have some summertime green vegetables. We have some bok choy as well as spinach that have been sauteed in a garlic butter. And then we made a beurre blanc from the butter left over from the scallops. Use Riesling, the excess butter from the scallops, and lemon juice to make the beurre blanc sauce. And then you have summertime scallops. Thank you so much. This is Chef Kristen with Our Daily Delights Food Services. And thank you for yet again tuning in to another one of our episodes on our food demo series with Our Daily Delights on Instagram. Thank you so much, and we'll see you all next time.